And when the movie's over, then someone had the bright idea to be like, let's go outside. And his backyard backed up to a huge field.
I remember
And
this.
then everyone just started walking into the field in the pitch black of night. And it was like a cornfield or like, and we're walking into it. And then all of a sudden, once you walk into the field, you can't see your friends anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm alone in a field in a place I've never been. And I can hear rustling, presumably of you people, former friends of mine walking in the, and it was the most terrifying thing. I mean, I was waiting for Leatherface to jump out at any moment, dude.
See, this is,
it was torture.
This is interesting because sometimes there are these life events that really highlight very stark differences. We're very similar in a lot of ways, very different in a lot of ways. So when a group of kids—
It was probably your idea.
When a group of kids goes into a dark cornfield, the only thing I'm thinking is, how do I scare someone? And you're thinking,
I'm thinking, am I gonna die?
Right, and I'm like, you become the victim and I become Leatherface.
Yeah.
That's you become the girl on the meat hook and I become Leatherface.
Sixth grade Leatherface.
I mean, I love scaring people.
You're like, dang it, I should have brought my chainsaw.
You remember, like we would go camping.
Yes.
Across the river.
Cape Fear River, yeah.
And we would all be walking, and then sometimes we would be walking through the woods, and
all of a sudden I'd turn around.
And I'd be gone.
But where's Rhett?
And I would literally devote like an hour of my time. I would let you guys get completely ahead of me, and then I would walk through the woods, and I would get like 100 yards from the campsite. It's totally dark, and I would very, very slowly, and I would get up next to the campsite, and I could hear you guys, and you would all be like, "He's gonna come scare us. He's gonna scare us at any moment." But I would wait.
You'd wait
I would get
past
really,
that
really
moment.
close, and I would wait for you to get right to that moment where you had let your guard down, and I would just come out there and scream.
Well, the camp.
I love doing that.
I remember this one time, because the campsite was on the other side of the river, and then again another tributary came off of the river and formed our campsite on an island.
Yeah.
And I remember we set up camp, and then you went to take a leak and never came back.
Didn't come back.
It was pitch dark outside of the campfire zone. And then after a while, I go to take a leak, and I go next to the tributary, and I swear for the past 30 minutes, you had been submerged in the water.
I was in the river.
You were in the river.
I got in the river and just kept my eyes above the water and waited for somebody to come take a leak.
Like Predator, right? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger
I
and
live
Predator.
for that kind of thing. I do it to my kids too.
But you know what? I did pee on you. So.
My dad did it to me. I remember really vividly coming back over, walking back home from Ben Greenwood's house, and my mom had called me and said, "You need to come home." It was late or whatever. And so my dad knew that I was walking from Keith Hills back to our house. It's like a mile walk, like across a couple of cornfields. And
the same cornfield.
Yeah, same cornfields.
Adam's house backed up.
I'm like walking, and I come out of the cornfield, and then I'm walking like on the grass field in front of my house, and I get right up to the road, and all of a sudden the bush starts shaking, and then all of a sudden there's a dog going, and then I realize it's my dad, and I'm like, I'm on the ground.
You laid on the ground?
I was so scared. And then he just laughed at me.
And you got a thrill out of that? Or you wanted to be your dad, you're like, one day I'm gonna be the scarer, and I'm gonna have the power.
I have a very similar personality makeup. It's like, I wasn't scarred by it. It was just like, when we went inside, I was like, man, you got me, And then I just, I carried on the cycle.
But it's not that you experience joy in being scared. It's that
I do. I do. That's where I want to go with this, because you like riding a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
And to me, the joy of riding a roller coaster, as long as I'm not getting sick, is the feeling of being in danger with not really being in danger. Now, of course,
that's not the part I like about it.
Now, of course, there is.
I like the fun part.
Yeah, but what makes it fun? It's the thrill, and what makes it a thrill?
The physical sensation of. I mean,
I could just pick you up and throw you around, and that wouldn't be fun.
Well, it might be.
I I don't think it would be the same thing. To me.
So you're saying it's the adrenaline associated with a simulated near-death experience on a roller coaster, where I can suspend my fear of actual death, and I can.
The scarier it is, the more the sensation, right? So okay, so when we went to Six Flags with the team, and we got on that. What was the one where you were flying? What was that called? What was that thing called? The one at Six Flags that's like
I couldn't say it
sponsored
right.
by
it does
by the chips.
I don't know what it's called.
But anyway, there's one where you basically are strapped in it and you're flying, and the whole time I was strapped in, I was thinking, if this thing
we talked about this.
Right, and so, but that's what made it great, is that I actually thought, man, I could actually be in danger. But then when you get through it and you're done, you're like, that was the best one. That's the one I remember. That was the best experience I had at Six Flags, was the time I thought I was gonna die and then I didn't. So a horror movie is
your mom
into
also
the same thing.
Also trained you to like that experience in the form of horror movies too, because she'd force feed you horror movies as a baby.
I don't think that my mom really understood. Like, my mom thought that her presence with you made whatever you were watching okay. It was like parental guidance. As long as I guide him through this, it'll be okay.
Well, R stands for restricted.
Now, but she has denied this too.
Restricted without mom being there.
Because I've talked about how, either on the podcast or Good Mythical Morning, I don't know.
Watching Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, how she got me to watch Hellraiser, or she let me watch Hellraiser with her, and when I was very young. And she's denied this, and she says, I wouldn't have done that. And I was like, well, how do I remember it? And how do I remember sitting there next to you watching it? But she loves horror movies. My mom will go see horror movies by herself. Like, she called me last year, and she was like, I just went to see Insidious 4, or whatever, which one it was, by myself, and I was the only one in the theater.
What?
And she loved it. She loves every minute of it.
So
there's something in our blood that makes us want to experience these things. But I've made kind of a.
It feels wrong to me.
The funny thing is I don't have a lot of people in my life to enjoy horror movies with. Jesse doesn't like to watch them. You don't really like to watch them. We will talk in a second about some of the ones that we have enjoyed together, or we both have enjoyed recently. But one of my favorite horror movie stories is I learned that my father-in-law.
Oh, well, this movie, you made me watch it with you in the theater, and then you watched it again with him.
Oh, The Ring?
Yes.
I do not watch horror movies by myself. I've almost done it a couple of times, but I'm not like my mom. I don't want to do that because the thing I enjoy is being with someone who's also getting scared. That's why my birthday parties usually consist of watching a horror movie together with a bunch of adults. Because I like to see, especially people who don't like to watch horror movies, get scared. But I found that my father-in-law also liked to watch horror movies, and so, I don't know, this is years ago. I just gotten married to Jessie, so this is like.
Well, it came out in 2002, so it's probably 2003.
Yeah, and so it was like right when it came out on video. And so she's like, he's like, let's watch a horror movie together. I'm gonna go get The Ring. I'm gonna go. Yeah, it was when you went to rent movies, and he comes back with it, and like, okay, we're gonna watch this thing together. And the first scene is probably the scariest one. The first murder in the movie, in the original Ring, is incredibly scary. So, sitting there watching it, we got all the lights off, and we got the volume cranked up real high. And there's this moment when it's zooming in on the television, and I know what's about to happen because I've seen the movie. I know that she's about to come out of there, and as soon as that black hair, that greasy black hair, is like right there at the screen, at the peak of the music and the build up and everything, all of a sudden the TV, the speaker, everything, the whole entertainment center just goes and just cuts off.
No.
And then we both ran.
Ran.
We both.
Where do you run?
We ran to the sun porch.
You ran to your mama.
We ran.
You ran to your
to
mama
our ladies. We just ran in there. It was like, we had like run all the way across the house and then we ran in there and they're like, what in the world?
With your father-in-law.
Why are you guys running in here? And we're like, the horror movie just did something in real life.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.